Hello everybody, we're going to learn how to do deodorant today. Put on a really lame camera here. So I just wanted to start off with the setup. We're going to do oil deodorant. We're going to melt it on a stove. So I like to get everything out. I like to get some foil going, what I'm going to melt in, get my deodorant containers. I'm going to show you what I'd like to do with the deodorant containers right when you get started. First thing you're going to do is throw them in a bag and throw them in the freezer. There's doing it's not a used one. So in the bottom there's a little hole right around where it goes up and down, and then the entire rim. And if you throw these in the freezer, you'll give it every chance to create a little plug of deodorant, and it won't melt out the bottom around here. So I found throwing it in the freezer gets them nice and cold, and when everything's ready to go, you won't have a problem. So I'm going to use a recipe I like. I'm not going to recommend any recipes for you because if my recipe doesn't work for you, it causes irritation. I don't want anybody to be upset. So there's a million recipes out on the internet. Go find one. I'm just showing you how to melt a recipe together. Doesn't matter what kind of recipe it is, it's the same technique. Alright, so let's get started here. First thing I'm going to do is get the stove going. I have set up here just a pot of water, and what we're going to be doing is putting this in there. And see, I have a problem immediately. Too much water. So that's about right there. Pour it out a little bit. And what we're doing is making a very cheap double boiler. This is a 99-cent store container. I would use any container you really don't care about. As you can see, over time you're just going to get a mess of old deodorant on it. And after about a year or so, I would say you go spend another $1 and get a new container so that you don't have the old oil that's been sitting in there between deodorant making start to go bad. Alright, I'm going to turn off probably the cameras and do some prep work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh out all of my ingredients and have them ready to go. And then I'll show you how to add them. I am also going to go ahead and turn on the stove and get this going so that I have my water nice and hot, so that when I first ingredient I'm going to add is going to be beeswax. Alright, so the first ingredient we are going to add are our wax, I believe, pastilles? They could also be called beeswax beads, white. So there you go. I like to use the little beads or pastilles. The blocks are really hard to cut up and put into a measuring cup. That's the only reason I use these. These will actually kind of turn them almost immediately into a block. So here we go. There you go. Alright, so I like to get the wax going first. That's going to take a while. Use my high-tech device here, just a picnic knife. That'll work. And this is going to take some time. I would say probably start to finish, we're probably looking about a half hour to make this work. So while that's melting, probably want to get my next ingredient together. And so I'm going to use some coconut. Alright, that stuff's kind of a mess. Ugh, delicious looking. It's half melted, half solid, delicious. Okay, so we're probably going to want to use a utensil here. Uh-oh, I'm going to use a knife. That's not in the mix. There we go. We've added an extra utensil. Oh, this stuff looks delicious. Alright. Just get in there and do it. gummy stuff off the bottom. It's 112 degrees out right now, so kitchen's kind of warm. Actually, it's going to make it a lot easier for me, right? Because I'll be able to measure these actually correctly instead of having lumps and guessing. So just trying to get it all in there, get it pretty close. I'm going to win Director of the Year with this video here, people. Alright. Everything going. We're recording, people. Alright, we're gonna add the next ingredient. I'm not gonna tell you what it is because you make your own. Go on the internet, find your own. I don't want you to all get all upset at me if you get a red bump or something. It works fine for me, it doesn't work well for you. So you're gonna have to experiment. Give that a little stir. The wax is already starting to melt. So I really like to add oils before the wax is all the way melted. I once waited till I had almost fully melted wax, and then the oils didn't really melt as quickly as I thought they would. So I let the wax get a little bit started and start adding my other oils. So the way my recipe works, and probably most other oil-based recipes, read the ingredients for yours and directions, is add wax first, add the oils, then they're probably going to have you remove it from heat, and then you're going to add some of your dry ingredients like the arrowroot maybe, some baking soda. Little tip on baking soda, don't overdo it. I once said, oh, there's a recipe and it has, let's say 1 part baking soda, I'm going to put 2 parts. And it didn't happen immediately, but a few months down the road, man, that baking soda starts basically eating your underarm away. And so you get irritation. So there we go. That's starting to melt. I think we can start adding the next oil. Bring it back. Get that ingredient out of the way. So my recipe is pretty flexible here. We're boiling, we'll turn that down. So this works as a double boiler, so you don't overdo the temperature here. You go a lot lower here, you don't want to boil over. Just need to get it melting. So my recipe calls for any combination of oils. A lot of them will have the main one being coconut oil and then a variation of, let's say, shea butter, cocoa butter, mango butter, just about anything you can imagine that's not going to irritate the underarm. So I'm going to go real simple here, and let's see, I'm just going to go a 2 oil recipe because I tried adding in some mango butter and I don't know if that really agreed with my underarms. So we're going to go back to just a basic 2 oil. Going to run a batch, see how that does. I've been making my own deodorant for probably about 3 years now and have not bought a stick of deodorant since I made a first batch. So it's always an adjustment period. I would say the first mistake I made was not thinking that an oil-based deodorant could work and applying too much. And then you're going to stain your clothes. I mean, as with any oil, you're going to have to make sure you're not wearing really fancy clothes just in case it stains them. But my first mistake was to apply too much. And you'll actually be surprised how little you can get away with. You'll have to experiment because everybody's different. They have different pH levels and they have different odor levels. And so it's just like cooking, right? You just smash that in there. Doesn't have to be perfect, but really stick to your recipe. I had some pastilles left at the bottom of the bag. And I thought, oh, you know what? Why don't I just throw those in there so I get rid of the bag? And what I did was I drastically changed the melting point of my deodorant, and it also made it a lot stickier. which was kind of strange. So it made it stickier and hard to melt, and that was in the middle of winter, and so that didn't really work out so well for me. So here we go. We're going to add our last oil. You can add as many oils as you like as long as you stick to your recipe and your measurements. They need to be pretty close. Otherwise you're going to start having problems and your deodorant's not going to come out the way you thought it was going to. So what can I say? Go out there and do it. You know, you've seen the kitchen here. There's nothing fancy going on. You know, the fancier kitchen, the nicer the tools, but I'm doing this with a 99-cent store container. Out of choice, really. I don't want to ruin a good glass container. You're going to leave a film and a residue, so you really kind of need to dedicate a container to doing this. And I think once you start doing it, you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to make a lot of other things. I'm hoping if I actually get this video all edited together and put together and out on the internet, we'll start doing some other fun things. I did body butter, and that's actually a lot of fun. I did a whipped body butter. That turned out real easy and pretty good. We can do some lip balms. So there's a lot of things you can do with this basic technique of melting oil and adding some basic natural ingredients. So speaking of natural doesn't mean it's not going to hurt you. Like I said, baking soda is pretty caustic, and if you go too high on the recipe, even though you're making yourself a natural product, you can burn yourself with it over time. So follow your recipes and experiment. You know, if you have very fancy clothes that you have to wear for work, I would say, you know, make sure you're wearing an undershirt. I don't want to have anybody ruin any clothing. We are getting there. So here is going to be your first temptation. It looks pretty liquid, but there's still a lot of chunks in there. There you go. There's a monster. So you need to make sure it is fully melted. Because what's going to happen is you're going to pour out your deodorant, and there's going to be a big chunk in your last one. And then you're going to go to apply it under your arm, and a big chunk of your deodorant's going to fall off. Because it didn't melt. Alright, we're looking good here. Just going to take some time to get it all melted. So on this video, I'm going to have some affiliate links, and if you click those and buy something, well, if you buy from my store, I'm definitely going to make some money, and I'll make some money off the affiliate link, I believe. Or if you buy something from somebody else, the fact that you click the affiliate link will also support me and give me a little percentage without costing you any extra money. But I want to make sure that you know if you click that link, it will support me a little bit if you do purchase something. And I do also have a store. I sell some do-it-yourself supplies. I sell obviously some deodorant making supplies. I sell the containers that you can put these recipes into. So if you like what you see and you go online on either eBay or Amazon, Dan's Daughter's Containers, I sell these containers, and I sure hope you would support me. And I appreciate you watching the video. That supports me also. And we're having fun.